Yeah. All right. Good morning, y'all. All right. I'm going to go and clap real quick. Sound check. Good morning. So, this is the start of, a sermon that I have been kind of trying to work on for a while. And so, to open this, I really want to first turn to a passage. So I think that really most sermons should use something from text that we can learn from. So, I'm going to turn to Acts 9, and it's going to start here in verse 17. Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, who hath appeared to you on the road as you came, hath sent me, that you may receive your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit. Immediately, verse 18, immediately there fell from his eyes something like scales, and he received his sight at once. And he arose and was baptized. So this is, of course, famously Paul's conversion experience, end of it. I've always really resonated with the story of Paul. He thinks he's right. He is actually persecuting Christians, right? Probably becomes one of the founders, really, in a way, of how Christianity developed. He became integral, right? Because he was able to teach the Gentiles Christianity, right? This story especially resonates with me because scales falling from his eyes. He sees the world in a different way. In a world where he doesn't have to persecute others, but instead tries to help others. Oh, hey, you like my tea as well, huh? Looks like you enjoyed my tea. Puppy. What's up? All right. Well, I guess I'm not going to drink some tea right here now. Anyway. But what I want to say is, after the sermon, I hope that each one of you can also see perhaps your life, perhaps your world in a different way. Just like Paul, used to be Saul, changed his name, became a new person, right? I think that should be a goal for everyone. A while back, I had a spiritual experience myself. I feel like some of the scales fell from my eyes. Kind of interesting. So I am a big advocate and also a practitioner of lucid dreaming. I think it's a spiritual resource that sadly a lot of people either don't know about or maybe just aren't familiar with, right? So I had a lucid dream or a spiritual experience. Let me tell you about it. So I basically dreamed I woke up in the Matrix, where I could see the code, see the sacred geometry of reality, had my eyes closed, but my eyes were open at the same time. Right? The scales had been lifted. That reality was a bit distressing, to say the least, I will say. Once you realize that the physical reality might not be the only reality, the inner world, your inner world, can sometimes be in turmoil, right? That's pretty scary. And I will say, just thinking back to this experience is giving me shivers right now, all right? You know? I will say that it was quite an experience that taught me something. And I realized that I needed somebody, that I needed to be in this reality, to open that experience. You know, I grew up in the Christian faith, and so I cried out to God. And, in this experience, God answered me. Kept on saying, cry out to God for help. God says, keep my commandments. Keep my commandments. Keep my commandments. I eventually ask, maybe I like to live on the danger side. Which commandments, bro? Tell me. Well, he did. Showed me everywhere I went wrong in life. All the sins, all the places where I went wrong. But also showed me where I went right in life. What I'm going to tell you another question that I asked later on in the experience that really started me thinking about my opening today, and something that I wanted to really contemplate on with y'all. So and I'm probably wrong on everything in theology, right? I don't know if this is theologically correct. I do have the Orthodox Bible, but hopefully I'm theologically correct on this. But so I asked God whether I would go to hell if I didn't obey the commandments, right? That's something that is concentrated quite a bit on in mainstream Christianity. Are you going to go to hell, or are you going to be saved? Let me tell you how to be saved specifically. Just don't do this, don't do that. Sadly, a lot of people are still confused by a lot of the usual responses, right? So, my experience, I decided, well, why not ask, right? God answered me in a question. That question made me realize maybe the gravity in a whole different way than what I had grown up hearing and what I think is the usual response. He said this, so I said, would I go to hell if I didn't obey the commandments? God told me, where do you think you are? And then I started thinking about the usual Christian message, actually, and I'd kind of laugh this off a little bit, but maybe I can explain it a little bit differently with this question, right? The usual Christian response is, God doesn't send you to hell, you send yourself to hell, right? Right? And, for a long time that didn't really make sense, in a lot of ways. But I think with this question, it kind of makes sense to me at least. Perhaps we do create our own hells. Maybe that's the deeper truth, right? Maybe there's a place that, is gnashing of teeth and hellfire, right? Maybe that exists. I'm not too sure. I don't know. I don't think that you need to know necessarily. I think you need to contemplate whether we make that right now in the here and now. Maybe we make that for ourselves every single day. Maybe you're really truly lost then, right? Or what you've lost. I'm sure you're asking me, why? Well, what is this hammer about, right? Why is he holding this hammer, right? What was Christ's father? Carpenter's son, right? Creator's son, right? This tool is to remind me to be a creator, to be a builder. Not someone that seeks destruction. Someone that creates. That creates a better reality. A reality that you don't have to be a persecutor like Saul, but you can be reborn like Paul. Have your eyes opened. Wrote down some questions that I also asked God in my spiritual experience. What are the commandments? In my experience, God asked me a lot of questions to get me to think about this, to contemplate. Because I don't think that we think about things. We just think about commandments, and that's it, right? But question resonates with you. Question digs deeper, right? So I want you to think about what God told me. Some of these questions. Did I love my neighbor as myself? Was I truly Christ-like? Did I feed, heal, and teach people? Have I never lied, cheated, or stolen anything? Have I ever thought myself holier than thou of others? Have I helped others heal? How can you really heal yourself without helping others, right? Am I worshiping addiction? And I think a lot of people sadly talk about the virtue of selfishness. But maybe that's an addiction. Maybe serving yourself is not always the only thing. We're taught to be individualistic, But here's the thing. It's community. Community is also part of you. You are the community. Maybe you shouldn't be worshiping yourself. Maybe if you're just individualistic, maybe if you're just greedy, you're just worshiping yourself. You're not worshiping your God. You're not trying to help your community or teach people, heal people, feed people. Just addicted to your own passions, your own lusts, your own desires, not thinking of higher things. My dad was also a preacher. He would talk about consumerism, how superficial reality was. That always resonated with me. I feel like a lot of times we're kind of trapped in a superficial or screen-deep reality, especially with phones, internet. We exist in a reality of screens, screen-deep reality. I don't think that's the whole reality. I don't think that's reality, even though reality television tells you that that's the reality, right? Just to be superficial, be screen deep. I don't want to be screen deep. You're probably watching this on a screen. Maybe you're watching it on a projection. But I aspire to be more, and I hope you do too. I hope you can leave behind your addictions, as Paul did. Saul, before he became Paul, he's a zealot, right? He thought he was doing the right thing. I'm persecuting the bad guys, right? Persecuting those Christians. They're changing society. Well, what are you talking about? Love your neighbor, man. Get out of here. Right? It's the old law, right? That's what Paul thought. I'm sure that's a lot what other people think, right? Here's the last question. Do I really care for the stranger? Do you really care for the stranger? Or do you shut the stranger out? Do you cut them off from your community? I think we all do. There's so many destitute, homeless. But I think that most of all, honestly, it's not even just people that are destitute physically, right? But I think our society is destitute of meaning, destitute of substance, destitute of spiritual matters, philosophical matters, real political matters even, of real human values, of godly values. We're taught to I don't like that, so I'm going to cancel it. Are you a subscription? Do you think other people are subscriptions? Do you think other people are beneath you? Do you think other people are the superficial? I hope you don't. We all think we're right. We all think that we're doing the right thing. But are we really? I think that we really need to question ourselves every single day. Make it a practice not to think of each other as superficial beings, not to think of each other as screen deep, not to be, oh, I want to be a celebrity, or I want to be popular. Oh, well, all right, man. Is that what you want to be? Is that all you can be? I think we could be better. We have unlimited potential. We have and are creators. And a lot of us have lost our ability to create. Whether it be because we don't have the tools, right? The tools to create with. Maybe we don't have the time. I talked about stress about a week ago. I think that's what really stresses out my generation. Millennials, Generation Z. Oftentimes we don't have the tools to really be creative. We're cut off from our spiritual essence in a way. Just have to go 9 to 5, or maybe different hours, probably hours, honestly. Excuse my language. Trying not to curse. Feel like that maybe it's probably not the reason why you think that maybe if I curse, maybe I'm cursing myself, so I've been trying not to curse. But it's pretty hard for me. But hey, we're all learning, right? We need to learn how to create ourselves to be better people. That's what a creator is. That's what I think Christ's message really was. To believe in people. To believe that people can be better. To show people how to be better. To heal, to feed, and to teach the community. That is not only Christ's message, but Christ practiced. You won't get any prosperity gospel from me. You're not going to get the individualistic, selfish, I don't care about other people, fake, superficial religion we're plagued with. Even though there's a lot of people that, I obviously disagree with, I'm very Protestant in that way, in a lot of ways. Grew up Protestant, I feel like we've lost our way as Christians, oftentimes. But I hope that even, maybe the slightly superficial, my superficial brothers and sisters can hear this message and be superficial no more. That's what I hope. I'm going to close with this verse. Now the multitude of those who believed were of one heart and one soul. Neither did anyone say that any of the things he possessed was his own, but they had all things in common. And with great power The apostles gave witness to the resurrection of Jesus. And great grace was upon them all, nor was there anyone among them who lacked. For all who were possessors of lands and houses sold them, and brought the proceeds of things that were sold, and laid them at the apostles' feet, and distributed to each as anyone had need. This is the ancient church. Are we living up to that? Are we living up to Christ's message? Are we living up to practicing Christ's teachings? It's not enough for you to just say things. You have to do. Practice. Practice what you preach. That's what I try to do here today. That's what I want to inspire you to do as well. May God be with you. Thank you. What do y'all think?